Hey there, last time I pointed out that the real reason Saudi Arabia wants a US war with Iran is to drive up oil prices. It's basically their last chance in this new efficiency and Texas-driven era of low oil prices. If war breaks out, Saudi Arabia will get its spike in oil prices, but it will not save them. Today, we'll be laying out the ways that a US war with Iran could actually accelerate the end of the current Saudi system, not save it. I think this for two reasons. The first is the war itself. I can't claim to know exactly how it will go, but I think there's a very high chance that it will go much more poorly for the Saudis than they are expecting. The second reason Saudi Arabia will lose big in a US-Iran war is the oil price spike itself. I'm very confident that that would boomerang on the Saudis very quickly. I've already done a video forecasting how I think the land war will go. The United States just doesn't have the resources necessary to do an invasion of Iran anymore. But there will be plenty of blood and horror to go around as the US loses thousands of soldiers and kills hundreds of thousands in Iraq and Syria. I will link the full How the US War with Iran Will Go video at the end of this one. What Saudi Arabia is banking on is the mess in another theater, the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. The hope is that Kuwaiti, Iraqi, and Iranian production will be completely shut down due to fights in the Strait, while Saudi Arabia can continue to produce and send oil out through its Red Sea ports and the Suez Canal. This would create a massive spike in oil prices and massive profits for the Saudis. And that could be exactly what happens. But I think Saudi Arabia may be relying on too many things going exactly right. Iran has a ton of missiles, and in the context of a real, full-on war, those missiles would be flying everywhere. Also, unlike Saddam Hussein, Iran isn't dumb enough to try to engage the United States in full-on tank battles or aerial dogfights. They've had decades to prepare for a very asymmetric kind of warfare, and who knows what surprises are in store. This cozy scenario of Saudi profit relies on the US preserving perfect air superiority over a pretty large area. The Iranians only have to get lucky once. What if one of the thousands of missiles they send at US ships hits its target? What if they manage to take out a US fighter jet with a swarm of off-the-shelf Walmart drones? The US is going to be very focused on making sure that these things don't happen, but if they do, the resources dedicated to protecting the Saudi oil bonanza will evaporate. Despite what the US government tells you, the Iranians and their Houthi allies have been very, very restrained. In a real war, a lot of stuff can get broken very quickly. And it's not like those Texas Republicans would be heartbroken if one of those thousands of Iranian missiles blew up a few Saudi pipelines. Also, there is the inconvenient fact that a lot of Saudi production is in areas with a lot of Shia. Especially if a few US fighters or destroyers go down, the line between the Iraqi bloodlands and Saudi Arabia's oil heartland will get very shaky. It's only a 6-hour drive from southern Iraq to Saudi Arabia's most important oil installations. It's certain that no Iranian tank will be able to make it that far, but how about Iran-affiliated Iraqi militiamen in thousands of Toyota pickup trucks? That'd be harder to stop. Now, as I said, I'm not very confident about what I just said there. US air and sea superiority could be exactly as perfect as the Trump administration seems to think it is. But I read a lot of disturbing stuff about the F-35, and it's hard not to notice that US naval ships keep running into things. Maybe things will work out exactly the way that Saudi Arabia expects, but I wouldn't bet my country on it. If everything goes according to plan and Saudi Arabia gets its oil price spike, it won't last long. Maybe a year or two tops. Because there's another competitor waiting in the wings, and it's a lot scarier than a bunch of Texas oil barons. I talked about it last year in a video called How the Oil Market Dies. That's right, I'm talking about oil costing more than $100 a barrel again, but only for a short time. This time around, it won't be some exciting new oil extraction technology that kills the oil price. It's going to be something completely different. Electric cars. After being a sad joke for decades, electric cars are finally poised to make a big difference. Every large car maker seems to be coming out with new models next year. There's one massive problem though: price. At current oil prices, you don't actually save any money by buying an electric vehicle. The other problems are technical ones, like range and charging stations that will quickly be fixed by a mass market. But we won't get a mass market if it's cheaper to buy a gas guzzler. Electric cars are waiting on a big bang. The post-shale surge in oil prices will be the electric car big bang we are waiting for. Once the mass electric car market starts, a fall in oil prices won't actually matter. The volume of cars sold will drive innovation, and oil won't be able to keep up. By the 2030s, oil should cost around $20 a barrel. And that is how the oil market dies. Or maybe not. So either way, Saudi Arabia loses. It's true that war with Iran is Saudi Arabia's last hope, but it's also true that war with Iran would bring about the end of Saudi Arabia's current system, whether quickly or slowly. There's no way out. Because, as I've been saying for over 2 years now, Saudi Arabia is finished. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and click on the bell next to the subscribe button if you want updates every time I upload a video. Thanks.